Welcome to the Sisters Like Us podcast. I'm Lakin.
And I'm Allie, and we're here to share our perspectives as sisters from two different generations.
So grab a glass of wine
or a bottle,
and let's dive in.
All right, cheers. Cheers, cheers. We are on episode 13 of the Sisters Like Us podcast.
Woo!
Thought we would do an episode on hobbies, which is one of those topics. It comes up a lot when I'm talking about goals with my community. Is we all want to have more time for hobbies and work on our hobbies. Mm-hmm. So I thought we would chat about it. We could talk about hobbies we used to have. So like past hobbies we have now, present, and then future like hobbies we would like to have someday or make more time for.
Totally.
So let's rewind and let's talk about hobbies that we have had in the past. I say that and then I almost hesitated because hobby is, I don't even know what the definition of it is, but it may be just what we spent our time doing.
Yeah, or just like things that we like enjoyed doing.
Yeah. So for me, if you don't know, I am a dancer. Mom threw me into dance when I was 3 or 4, and I never stopped. I love dance. We actually were just looking at a memory where Mom and Allie came to New York 6 years ago today to see me perform in a dance show. Because, I mean, I love to dance. That will also fall on the current and future list, but definitely a past list. I danced a lot. That took up a lot of my time. I also played the piano, something I also started very young and then carried through till I was 18. I took piano lessons till 18. Trying to think if there's any other really hobbies I have had when I was younger. I can't really think of anything. That was pretty much all my time. Oh, yeah. I did theater.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That was one thing we actually kind of did together a little bit. But I did theater once I started high school.
Which also goes with our generation because, again, you were 18, I was 9, and we could only do so much together.
But it was something that we did together. So when I got to high school, I didn't want to be on the dance team, like that performed at the football games. And so somebody I met suggested that I try out for the dance part of theater. And our high school, one of the things they did was a theater camp every summer. And the kids that were part of the theater camp got to be in the children's show in the fall. And so Allie and I got to be in a couple of shows together when I was in high school. I think that's it.
So something you'll get to know about me as we go through more episodes is I like to change my mind a lot.
I think that's already come up a few times.
Yeah,
but yes.
I don't say like I get bored easily, but I just am always itching to try something different. Mm-hmm. So, when I was younger, I had the experience of trying all the sports. I tried softball, I tried soccer, I did the sport thing for a while. And then, I did theater probably at age from, I think it was like, I say like 3rd grade to like 8th grade-ish. I did it for a long time.
Yeah, and you did theater outside of school. Like, I only ever did theater in my high school. You did like community theater.
Yeah, I did not do it in school because the place that I went to when I was younger, I didn't have to audition. Which was super nice. And because I was like a reoccurring person in the cast because I was there for so long, for so many years. I always got a big part. It was fun, but it was just like it was just stressful for me.
Why?
I think like memorizing lines and like also, I don't know. Theater was a lot for me.
But did you like it? Are you glad you did it?
Yes.
Okay.
I really enjoyed theater. I love talking about it. I think my experience was a little bit different just because, I played a lot of male parts when I was younger.
That's because, the theater you went to, it was mostly female who were part of the cast, and somebody had to play the male parts.
And it was me. I think one of my favorite roles to say that I played was when I played Augustus Gloop in Willy Wonka, because it's just like, come on.
That's pretty funny. So we also did Willy Wonka my senior year of high school.
And you played Violet's mom.
I was Violet's mom. It was more off the new version where they're like in matching tracksuits vibe.
Anyways, but moving on from theater, I decided to go back into kind of the sport route. So Parker, my older brother, he played ultimate frisbee throughout high school. And if you don't know what ultimate frisbee is, just to put it short, it is not frisbee golf. Because people tend to think it is. I would like to compare it kind of to like soccer with a frisbee.
Yeah.
So but also a little bit of football because you have to score inside of an end zone. You know, just think of it as like, I'm sure people kind of know what it is, but yes, it's a lot of running. It's a lot of, it's hard. It's not an easy sport to play.
No, and as somebody who has tried to throw and catch a frisbee with both of them, there is so much skill in the throwing and the catching of a frisbee that I don't have.
Yeah, and when I first started to play, it's kind of one of those sports, I feel like with any sport, is if you don't really know how to play, right? You don't know how to do it, and throwing a frisbee is not only, like, you can kick a ball, right? You can catch a ball. You can catch a ball, kick a ball, but, like, learning how to throw, yeah, kind of what you just said, throw a frisbee and catch a frisbee is difficult.
It is.
And it was really hard for me. I remember the first 2 weeks, I was like, I don't want to do this. I can't do this. Like, this is too hard. And, you know, fast forward 4 years later, I'm captain of our, like, varsity team. It was the best 4 years of my life. I met so many amazing girls that I'm still really close with. My best friend from high school I played with her all 4 of those years.
And fun fact, her older brother also played with Parker.
Yes, her older brother played with Parker. Parker was also the senior of his varsity team, so we shared that, which was really awesome. Captain of the varsity team, so we shared that.
It was cool to see them bond over this thing together.
Yeah, and we still do. Like, we really enjoy, like, going back and, like, watching, like, videos. Like, hey, I'm on YouTube, so
you were good.
But see, I think one of the things that me and Allie's my friend from home, that we talk about sometimes is that I was really starting to get good when I stopped playing. So fast forward then to college, is DePaul does have a team, but the issue was my high school team was one of the biggest in quite literally the nation. Like, our girls team was 13th in the entire country. So, you know, we played a lot of college teams. That's what we went to, was college tournaments, because we weren't like a full sport at Nequa. We were a club sport. So we didn't get, like, you know, jerseys and, like, those kinds of things.
I knew that it was a club sport, and it's still a club sport at most colleges as well. I didn't know that y'all were playing in college tournaments, though.
Yeah, so we played college tournaments. I played DePaul all the time.
Really?
Yeah, so we played college tournaments all the time. The times that we played, like, high schools in Illinois was, like, state.
Sure.
But
if you played in a tournament, it was college.
Yeah, so when we traveled to tournaments, we played college teams.
I did not know that.
I mean, some high school teams were really good, and they were also there. But most teams that we played were college teams. So when I went to DePaul, they knew who I was. They knew who I was already, and I knew who they were. Yeah. And I think what was hard for me is that, like, I was transitioning to a team, and that was just not as talented as the team that I was on. And that's just a little bit difficult when you go from, like, being in such a competitive state to being in the complete opposite. It was just hard for me, and I was like, you know what, I really want to be in Greek life. I don't think this is, like, it for me anymore. That's fair. And I stopped playing. And, you know, since joining college and stuff, like, my only real hobbies have been, like, I'm a very, like, active person. I love working out. I love workout classes. I love all of that. And so I feel like that's, like, my hobbies now. Yeah. Okay.
In terms of hobbies now, I mean, my hobby now is taking care of my tiny baby. Otherwise, I do also still love to dance. And once I get back into it and feel up to being able to move for 60 minutes straight, we'll take a dance class. In terms of other current hobbies, I do like to read. I talked about that a couple episodes ago. And have actually found more time for reading since having a baby, which is bananas. But part of that is, like, when I feed her.
It's just like a comfort level too, probably. Yes. Like, you're just not as uncomfortable.
Yes. And I sit there and read while I feed her a lot. So I've been getting through a lot of books, which has been awesome.
I want to get back in the reading game.
Yeah. We're going to do a whole episode on reading. It's on our list now. And then I also do still like to scrapbook and memory keep.
Yeah, we could touch on that too.
So that is something that I also could have been a quote-unquote past. I don't really think it was a past hobby of mine. It was something I did with Mom. When we lived in Texas, Mom and her friends would get together and have, like, scrapbook parties. And it was...
I love that. I would do that now.
It was awesome.
That sounds amazing.
And so my childhood best friend and I would, like, join, and they would, like, give us little things, right? They would have all the nice fancy stuff, and Lacey and I would get, like, the scraps. But I got into it then because Mom was into it. And then I kind of had a lull, and now I kind of got back into it a couple of years ago, and now am ready, especially with Lila, to just do all of the scrapbooking and memory keeping. So that is both a current and for sure a future one. I'm trying to think and make sure there's no other current hobbies. I don't think of planning as a hobby anymore.
For me, it was a hobby.
Yeah.
Because when Lakin used to plan, I used to plan.
Yeah.
Because of her doing it. So I bought
the
all
stickers
this
and the washi
tape and the washi tape and the stickers, and like all of her planner friends would like send me stuff, and I'd be like, oh, like so sweet. Like I recently just found all of my stuff from it, and I still have a planning account, Allie.planning. It was a hobby for me, for sure. Because I spent, I said this in my maid of honor speech, I'll say it now, I spent so much of my life trying to be Lakin, and guys, I would literally take papers, things that Lakin wrote, and I would just I would trace over her handwriting so I could literally nail her. And to this day, our handwriting is very similar because I literally trace her handwriting. The only thing that's not the same is I just can't do my S's sideways. Respectfully, my S's are not sideways. But everything else, and it looks freaking same.
I can't stop laughing. It's the sweetest thing.
So, past hobby, being Lakin.
I also would consider planning a prior hobby. It started as a hobby.
Yes.
And then it turned into more of a almost necessity. It's just part of my routine. I don't plan out of a hobby anymore. I also don't really use stickers anymore either. So it's just something that I do because my life needs me to plan. And it's also somewhat of my job at this point. If I record me planning or I talk about an aspect of planning my life, then it becomes part of my job.
Right.
It was a hobby for me, and now I don't think of it that way anymore.
Right.
But I can see that for you as well. In terms of hobbies you'd like to have, something you'd like to spend more time doing.
I've been thinking about this a lot because I have a lot. I really do. One of the things that I really want to get into is dance. I had a wedding this past weekend, or actually a couple days ago, and the couple were just huge dancers. I would love to learn ballroom dance.
Okay. Well, is that because you just watched too much Dancing with the Stars?
No. It's not. I love Dancing with the Stars, but it's not because they were doing, and I was like, oh my God, I just want to do that. That's fun. But I've always, in high school, in gym class, I always chose the dance classes. I've always been
No, I know you've always liked dance. I just meant ballroom being more Dancing with the Stars.
Yes, maybe more now, but also danced for a little bit when I was really, really little.
In the theater too.
Yeah, and in theater. And I would love to get into dance. Love to.
Okay, so we need to dance more is clearly the conclusion of this episode. Speaking also of ballroom. So if it isn't clear or I need to clarify more, the dance that I was into started at 3-4 in the ballet tap combo class that you basically stick every 3 to 4 year old in. Then evolved into jazz, hip hop, etc. Tap/hip hop was really more my forte in high school and beyond. So there is a dance studio in the neighborhood not far from my apartment that we have talked about taking class at before. And they have all those styles for adult classes that we could totally take. They also have a salsa class on Fridays. And they have one class that's with a partner and then one class that you come without a partner. And they just pair you up. So we could totally go to that.
Yeah, and guys, maybe this will be me organically meeting the love of my life.
This is the beginning of a rom-com.
Yes. But yeah, no, I really want to get back into dancing. I've also dabbled in the idea of getting back into frisbee. I really want to play during the summer months and stuff. It's just because those kinds of skills don't leave. I can still throw. Fun fact, I can throw an entire football field.
That's amazing.
I really just want to get back into that, but that's also a time commitment.
Would you join is there a team? What would that look like?
One of my friends who's my co-captain in high school, she plays for a league here. She lives in Chicago. So I've talked to her about joining and stuff. But it's an endurance thing. It is just so much running.
Yeah.
So
you'd have to
thought about that
get a little bit more in shape in that regards before you're ready for it.
Correct.
Sure.
Yeah.
That might be a good 2024 goal if you listen to our Q&A episode.
Listen, she's helping me already.
So dance, frisbee, anything else? I mean, reading, we talked about a smidge that you want to
Yeah.
get out of your reading rut.
I'm just in a reading rut. I do like to read. Not right now, but maybe you'll talk and it'll spark something.
For me, it's more about just finding the time to getting back into things I do know that I like, given that I had a baby.
The thing is time. Well, I get that you had a literal child. Just like, oh,
no, but time is a big piece of it. So dance is one of the things for me as well. Reading I have figured out after having a baby. Scrapbooking and memory keeping is definitely one of them. Truthfully, I would probably consider travel somewhat of a hobby.
Yeah.
It's an expensive one and one that I can't do as regularly, but planning for it and saving for it is
Greece
definitely
2025.
2025. Okay. Interesting.
Something that I was just thinking about, which is current, kind of. It has to do with working out. Like I said, I like to be like active and working out. I was like, but core power yoga, if anyone's taken it, I consider it a hobby because it's like, it's different than your normal workout. It's just my favorite thing to do on the planet. I love it. It's like core power girlies know. They know.
I'm trying to think. I feel like there are other hobbies that I would like to do someday, but right now they're maybe not it.
I have one.
Okay.
So when I was younger, actually this kind of hits all points. Quick story time, if you have enough wine. So when I was younger, I used to be really into like creative writing. And did you know this about me?
I don't think so.
Really? So I had this friend in middle school and we decided that we were going to write a book. And we would have this little like manila folder of like notebook paper. And we started writing it. And like during passing periods, we would pass the manila folder and we would write one page. The next person would write the next. We flip it over and we go on all the way. We got to the point where it was like 100 pieces of notebook paper of a book.
That's huge.
Yeah. And so then, we decided like once we got a little bit older, we decided to take it and type the whole thing out. And then we did, change some things around, obviously, because like
editing is a thing.
And then we stopped being friends. It kind of like died down. And it was a really cool concept. It was like a sci-fi romance, like, the name was a little bit cheesy. It was like The Chosen Ones. But, it was like 7, short synopsis is it was 7 teenagers, like individuals that like went to college and they all like end up having like the same dreams and they all like start meeting each other in weird ways and like, anyways, it was very cool.
For a
6th grade mind, it was very cool. And then COVID happened. We reconnected. We got like close again. And we decided, like, during COVID, we, like, FaceTimed every once in a while. We decided to revamp the whole story. I mean, it's, like, 75 pages on Google Docs. Like, it's, like, it has potential.
Who is this, if you're comfortable sharing?
Adrian.
Oh.
Addie. Yeah, Addie. We had called her Addie when I was younger. And creative writing was actually my minor in college up until...
I knew that, but I didn't...
That is one of my life goals, is to write a book and publish a book. If I don't, that would be really sad. I definitely have the creative capacity to be able to do so. I was minoring in creative writing for the hopes of just like learning more about it and so that I could really build that like knowledge of it. And it just got to the point where it was too much English to like fit into my schedule because it's a lot of English you have to learn. And so that's the point where I decided to change into like the entrepreneurship and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's one of my goals, one of my hobbies that I want to get back into. I have so many just like random like short stories that I've written just sitting in my Google.
Yeah, okay. I definitely am going to help you with that because that is awesome and something that you should not give up on.
Yeah. It's like one of those things, like you do need help me because it's one of those things that I randomly think about and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go sit down and write tonight. And then I like don't have the motivation to, so then I'm like, oh, I'm not going to. Like, it's fine. Like, I can, like, push it off. If I get in the mode, like, I could just knock out, like, a whole story. It is so much fun. It is so much fun.
That is amazing. Because, secretly, I also have a dream of writing a book, but writing is not my strong suit, and I don't get that ever, like, bug or itch to write.
It is, like, fiction, though. Like, I need to
write fiction. You're fiction. I want to write, like, a nonfiction book.
And something else, too, is, like, because I'm so, like, I'm a very visual, like, creative person. We had, like, this project that we had to do in middle school. And so we literally created a book report for our book.
That didn't exist yet.
Yeah, so we had, like, a cast and characters. And, like, it's so funny because all of the character names are named after countries. So we have, like, Roman and Sydney and
that's
Victoria,
cool.
Norway. And we have all of these, like, names because we're we're young and we just like want to be creative.
That's
with it.
cool.
I mean, I'll share it with you. You can read it. Anyone can read it. I don't care. It's pretty good. But because we're so much older now, we like go back and read it. We're like, wait, plot hole. That doesn't make sense. I mean, like,
right, but that's what editing is for. And
Yeah.
you're not going to release it to all the people because you never know what's going to happen. That's very cool and definitely a hobby that is worth not giving up on.
Yeah. I wish I could make a career out of being an author because I would love to. I think, if someone like asked me a couple years ago, like what would be my dream job before I really wanted to hone in on the wedding planning thing, I think it would be to be an author, but I just think it's unrealistic for me because I wouldn't say I'm a procrastinator, but I'm very like, because of my personality of like being a perfectionist and not being satisfied and wanting to change things all the time, I don't think it would work.
If you follow me, if you've heard me talk about anything before, you have heard me mention, not you, Allie, you, the person listening to this, have heard me talk about Sarah Canning and her YouTube channel, Heart Breathings. I clearly have not told my sister about it, and as soon as we are done recording this episode, I am going to point her in Sarah's direction, and we're going to see what happens from that, because I think that is a gift that only so many people have that can't just be like, oh, I don't have time, or I'm too perfectionist, or I'm too distracted to actually do something about that.
I have so much admiration for people who are authors because it is such a risky, and it's so humble. Like, it's just like, it's crazy how much time and effort that you put into something. It's just like the minute you finish that, it's just like the biggest risk that you're going to take. And it's like just going to make or break. It's just like, it blows my mind.
That's so interesting. This is definitely not where I thought this episode was going to go.
Yeah. Cheers.
To talking about hobbies, but I
need to drink wine more often, clearly.
Yeah, so these last couple episodes we've recorded where we've had wine, unlike the first handful where I was still pregnant, I do think we've been more comfortable with just like chatting over wine instead of kind of feeling like we were, oh, I'm recording a podcast and I'm focused, as opposed to just like what we wanted this podcast to be, which was just like us chatting like we normally do. So let's call it on this episode because I feel like we cannot top that last part. As always, like and subscribe if you're here on YouTube. 5 stars and a rating if you're on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. I personally don't use Apple or Spotify. I know that's very weird. I use a total random podcast app called Overcast. I don't know how I got started with that app, but now I can't quit it because all my podcasts are like in that app.
I'm on Spotify, so.
Okay, well that makes more sense than my situation. So anyways, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
See you then.